Hey guys, I want to talk about um, OCD. And in my experience, look, a lot of people don't understand OCD yet. The experts don't understand it, but there's some of us who have had OCD. We've learned through personal experience and from others. And in my experience, this lies at the root of OCD, how it develops. And this is emotional repression. So, emotional repression, what is that? Well, repression means holding back, pushing away. I just came up with that definition myself. I haven't looked it up. But repressing, so if we think about how do we repress emotions? And why would we do this automatically? Right? Because remember, if you understand our subconscious brain, a lot of these patterns we get into, this is all our subconscious automatic autopilot system that is doing this for us. So where did it come from? Well, it came from everywhere, the same place that our other unconscious, subconscious patterns came from. That's childhood. We don't want to get into the big discussion here about that, but childhood, obviously we're influenced by our genetics, and also how we're parented and our belief and value systems and how our parents modeled um, emotional management. How they manage their emotions are probably how we're going to, probably not probably, or how we're going to manage our emotions, right? We look to them to understand how to navigate the world. So, through genetics, through watching it, we repress. And for those of us with those sort of that gene type for it to express as OCD, our emotional repression will express itself as anxiety, OCD, and that looks like, for me with OCD, emotional repression looked like using my mind. Okay, so it wasn't like it wasn't at all much like, I feel like my hands have germs, got to wash them, or I left the stove on, I got to come back in and do it every time, or the door's unlocked, I got to check the lock. It wasn't like that. It was my compulsions, right? So we have the obsessive thought and the feeling that comes with it. We have the obsessional thought. The compulsive thought. My compulsions then were all mentally driven. They were all, I used anything I could. So I grew up in a religious family, very conservative, religious, and so Christian. And so I used everything that I was taught. I just latched onto it and used it. Bible verses, beliefs about God, beliefs about hell, all this stuff that kind of further, solidified, validated the fear that I had and the guilt that I had. And that's a whole other video about how, those belief systems interplay with our emotions. But I used, typical strategies in Christianity to just repress these feelings. And then I used religious thoughts primarily. That was how I did it, and so it became all automatic. That I just did that without even being aware of it. And it could look different for you. It could look different for anyone. So we push those emotions down. Emotions are meant to come up. Why do emotions come up in the first place? What's that all about? Well, emotions are all there. Emotions are used by your subconscious. You can look at our subconscious as our supercomputer. That's what makes us special. Okay. Okay. If we want to talk about our soul, we have a soul. Okay, that's maybe special. But there's a special part about our subconscious brain because it keeps us alive. It's our, one famous coach that I love named John Glanville. Look him up on YouTube. He likens our subconscious body as our horse, our little horse that we ride. Our horse can get scared. We got to calm it down. But that's how we're detached. We're separate. We're not our subconscious brain totally. It's not who we are in the sense of like our essence, but we come together as a package, and it works for us. Okay, it should work for us. But when it doesn't, so Emotions are used by your subconscious brain as a mechanism of guiding us, okay? Your subconscious is your template of beliefs, values, what is safe, what is dangerous, and it's going to use emotions to navigate you and keep you within those parameters, okay? So if you believe snakes are dangerous, you're going to get a message if you're ever close to a snake, or if you even see a snake in a picture, you might feel that. That's your subconscious telling you, hey, I don't want you close. Don't even think about that. Stay away. It's dangerous. That's how your emotions are working. Your emotions are doing that all throughout the day. It's a system of keeping you safe, keeping you from danger. Now, people say, emotions aren't valid. Don't listen. Your emotions are always changing and fleeting. Don't pay attention. On one regard, yes, they're valid. No, they're valid. They're always valid because they're always giving us a message. And that message has to do with that safety and threat system. And so you don't just toss your emotions out and not be with emotions. It's more understanding that emotions can be giving you a false message. And those of us with OCD, those OCD thoughts and feelings are not legit. When I say legit, means they're there to threat. They're just more. They're more. It's more danger. It's an over amplified distress signal. That's OCD thoughts, and they calm down when we release some of that emotion that's underneath it. Okay. So emotions are coming up to protect us, to keep, but those emotions we feel in OCD, harm, sexual, contamination, all those emotions, I don't look at those emotions are like, they are trying to protect us, but they have there's emotions underneath those same emotions. There's deeper ones that are really the reason why they're here. They're like the outer, big, scary OCD emotions. We don't want to try to control those, or we don't even care about those. We want to let those go. Okay, obviously we're always letting emotions be, but I guess from a cognizant standpoint, when you feel those emotions, this is what I do. Whenever and once in a while I have an OCD thought, and man, it's so subtle because I know that thought came for a reason. It didn't just happen for no reason. I must have unconsciously, with no awareness, I must have done something or slipped into some sort of repressed mode. Usually, if I trace it back, I can kind of feel myself slipping back into an old habit, or there's a conversation and somehow I fell into this old habit and I repressed it either through a certain thought, and then boom, 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 OCD thought came in. So OCD thoughts are there because you're repressing other emotions. Okay. That's why emotions are there. So it's good to understand that dynamic, because look, when you work on the whole system of like these more primal fears of like, what do people think of me if I do this, or I say this, or I post this video, or I do that, and you that's a real easy way to feel the emotions. Those are connected to our OCD thoughts, the ones that are more irrational and intrusive, the ones that were kind of like, we feel guilty or shameful for even mentioning them. I've had those. Or maybe we have told somebody, we thought they were real. We thought those thoughts we were having were real. And so we had to tell somebody and do something. Like for me, it's always guilt, guilty thought that I did this, or something I did in the past. It meant this, and I need to go ask for forgiveness, or talk to somebody about this and relieve this guilt off me. That was all made up. So that's where I'm talking about the OCD. Those thoughts, those are thoughts telling you something that aren't true. They're not true. And so people will say, well, how do I know what's true and what's not? Well, if it's something that you don't want like that, then it's an OCD thought. And so once those thoughts calm down, you start to see more of like the what actually is real when it comes to guilt and what's not. Now, when I say what's real, guilt is always sending a message about your belief system. Your belief system, and then also a past experience where you probably developed that belief system. So for me in Christianity, growing up in a conservative Christianity, they thrive on guilt. Guilt is a mechanism to becoming saved. It's baked into the Christian salvation experiences that you are guilty before God. And then I know there's variations of Christianity, but the real mainstream version here is that you're guilty before God, and you need to confess your sins, ask for forgiveness, and you'll be saved. And you feel that relief of guilt because you believe that you were guilty. You believe that you did something wrong because you believe what you were told. And then you believe in the message that if you did this, you'll feel good. And it's reaffirmed by the people around you. And so the emotion goes away. It's all based on what we agree with in our mind. I never knew that as a youngster. I never knew that. I thought there was a God-ordained reason why my emotions were relieved when I did certain things. And so you develop this association with doing these things to relieve emotions. If I just do this, my emotion goes away. That's amazing. So I gotta, I'm gonna keep doing that. Why wouldn't I? And this is why, you see OCD with a lot of people who grow up in very tightly controlled religious communities. Okay. It doesn't have to be always religious, but you do see it in that religious, regardless, anything that can, develop this sort of pattern where we rely on something else to regulate our emotion. That was me totally in childhood. So anyways, I'm getting off on a rabbit trail. But that is essentially how those emotions work, and you can see the repression that develops. You got to take inventory of your own life and really understand the belief systems that you are baked in, because you need to understand your program. You need to understand your subconscious brain. Remember, it was developed like a computer program, meaning the files, the input, the data that came in to program you was all of your childhood experiences. So you need to learn what that was like to learn how your program is. And you learn this by what you're feeling right now, what you're thinking right now, all these automatic things that are coming into your conscious brain are being fed from your subconscious. And so you understand fear, guilt, shame, anger. Those are emotions that are coming from your subconscious. And remember, they're doing it for your safety. It's doing it for your safety. And so we're always looking to bring more safety into the system and let these kind of repressed emotions come out. So emotional repression is the foundation of anxiety, OCD, and that's the work. Getting a grip on getting an understanding on your program, how you are repressing it, how are you automatically repressing emotions, and you learn that, and then you look for it, and you become aware of it, and you just get better at it, and you'll get better at feeling emotions and not thinking over top emotions. And I hope that helps. Please leave any comments, questions in this video. I do run an online group called the OCD Hero community. It's free, and you can join and hear more personal stories from myself and others that are on this journey to transforming their OCD and anxiety. Thanks.